For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the B2B Marketing and Sales podcast. My name is Steve Allen Miller. It is not Steven, it's Steve. It's Steve Allen Miller, and if you want to know who I was named after, Steve Allen, the comedian. Now, that's something I have not
only
shared
know
in any of the podcasts. And I am joined, of course, to one side or the other, or above or below me, whatever you're looking at. I am joined by Mr. David Mayo Loomis, author of this incredible book, Marketing is Everything We Do. Marketing is everything we do. You got to go get that. Welcome, Mr. David. Should I go on and introduce our other guests?
Yeah. Let's go for it, Steve. Let's go for it.
Okay. And then, according to my screen, directly below me is the founder, El Presidente, CEO, just the grand poobah of Creative 8. Is it Creative 8 Inc.?
Creative 8,
LLC.
It's an LLC. Technically, it was converted to an S corp. None of that matters. Just Creative 8.
Creative 8.
Yes.
Creative 8. Okay. Creative 8. Ms. Michelle Jones, who says Gus is somewhere around, and maybe she'll talk about Gus. But
Gus is a dog, by the way.
Welcome, welcome, Michelle Jones, and last but certainly not least, of course, my smoking hot wife, who also has a book. And Michelle, you got to work on this because you see, my smoking hot wife, Kay Miller, author of Uncopyable Sales Secrets, and how to create an unfair advantage to outsell your competition. Michelle, you got to get your book out, right? And because that's what.
Well, and what about your books? You've written 8? Are you on your 8th book?
I'm actually submitting my 9th book.
9th book.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about
so
that.
Impressive. Nothing if not prolific. Okay. Amazing.
Congratulations.
Anybody who loves writing books is an idiot. So anyway, here we are.
But we're a good crew.
We're kind of here to announce, while this is not the final episode of the podcast, we are here to kind of announce that we are winding this thing down. And so we thought it would really be a great idea. And actually, probably David Mayo Loomis came up with this concept. And I said, gee, that sounds good. He said, let's bring back our 2 rock stars who just killed it. They were so amazing that you and I decided not to bring them back very much. Because it took all the spotlight away from us. And Kay, as an example, Kay's one of her episodes, which was, I think it was about overcoming fear in sales or something like that.
Yeah.
Is the number 1 most downloaded episode of ours. And Michelle, your last one has gotten up to number 3, but of course it hadn't been around nearly as long as Kay's first one. But they've both been superstars, rock stars. People have talked about you guys and just said what great guests you are. And so David, why don't you once I get into somebody's name like David or Dave, see, if you didn't want to be called David, if you didn't want to be called Dave, you would say, don't call me Dave. But you do. why don't you take over and talk about what we're going to do today?
Oh, right. So, thank you, Steve. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to see you.
Of course.
Oh, and the voice.
The voice, yes.
Dave the
The
voice.
Let's hear
The
it.
Dave Loomis.
There you go.
Yeah. You all might miss that voice. So we're going to do a couple round robins. We talked about this and planned it out a little bit, which is more than we usually do.
Mhm.
And we decided we would tackle two topics. One would be what's going on with each of us that's sort of new and good and interesting that we want to share with people, because that's one of the reasons why we are winding down the podcast, is that we all have lots going on and are going to focus our energies in new, exciting directions. And so we're going to go around and talk about that, each of us. And then to wrap things up, we're going to each weigh in on what we think is most important, impactful, etc., in B2B sales and marketing in the coming whatever time
50
period
years.
you want to say. 50 years. Yes. Hard to look out.
Michelle's probably the only one who'll be around then.
There you go. All right. I am reading a book on how to live long. So I'm who knows? I might be.
You know what? I
prosper?
want to know what that is, because I'm trying to do things that will prevent me from living to be 100.
Oh, so do the opposite.
Yeah. So tell me what it is, because I don't,
Perfect.
there are no good, not that you
Yeah.
care.
Don't
there are
don't
no good hearing
exercise.
aids.
Don't
after
exercise. Don't eat well. Don't
But
drink
I
tea.
just saw your
Don't
Wang
drink a glass of wine.
Your Wang was in the news yesterday for eating Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's every day. And that's her secret to looking great in her 70s.
Who is that?
Your Wang, fashion designer.
Oh, Vera Wang.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
That fat little pig.
She is a tiny little thing.
He
Nice
is so
thing.
skinny.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Okay. So
Deep breaths.
let's go. Do you want to start, Kay, with things that are new?
Okay, I'll just jump right in. I, of course, have my fairly new book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets, and now I have a new podcast, and it is called Uncopyable Women in Sales. And so I am interviewing women in all different industries, all different situations, young. I'll put Michelle in the young category, old. I mean, I think one gal is in her early 80s, and getting all their different perspectives on sales. And just quickly, I'm amazed at the information, the inspiration. I'm also really fascinated by how many different ways there are to sell. I have interviewed gals that are so frenetic that it's like, you're just kind of buzzing by the time you're done. And I've talked to people who are very, very low key. So I'm excited about talking to those women. Michelle was one of my guests. I don't think it's your interview is posted yet, but you were fascinating too. So you can teach an old dog new tricks, because I'm still learning things from this podcast. So that's kind of the big news for me. I'll leave it at that.
Before we leave you, what is one of the things that you've learned that comes to mind?
I think one of the biggest mistakes salespeople make is not listening. And it's so, we all know that. We've all heard that.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Yeah, right. Interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Yeah. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting
Moo.
cow.
Okay. So that's what salespeople do, really. And I've been, one of the gals I talked to had the one question that she asks is always why. And we often are thinking about the next question we're going to ask, or we're going to, even worse, answer the question right away. And she said, I always ask, why is this important? Whatever people talk about, she gets them to talk further, and by saying why. I cover that in my book. I have an example with the musician Pink, a little story about her. And I also just recently read a Larry King book, How to Talk to Anyone, Anytime, Anywhere, I think it was called. And his number one most important question that you should ask in every interview is why. So I thought that was very interesting. So a simple thing that we may have heard before, but I know that many of the women I'm talking to are really good at getting that information from the customer before they decide what the solution is. So that will be my little nugget.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
That's a lot of stuff going on. That's so cool. So, Michelle, do you want to go?
For what's new and exciting? in the
What's
world?
new and exciting? What are you working on? What do you
Your
want
world.
people to know about?
Oh, let's see. So I started, for those of you that haven't followed along with my story, I started Creativate 2.5 years ago, and it was just me. And we now have 3 full-time people in addition to me and 1 part-time, and a team of developers, all female, which I love. So we are just continuing to grow, and our mission is to help small and medium-sized businesses grow and use marketing to do so. So we've brought on a few new clients, and we are looking at how we can continue to leverage an overused word, but truly I'm going to use it appropriately right now. How we're trying to leverage what the technologies and platforms are out there, especially for marketing and commercial and industrial businesses who tend to typically be a little bit behind of the curve. So instead of looking at, hey, what are things like, I know, Steve, you've talked so much about AI this last year. How can you use AI as another tool in your tool chest? Versus looking at it as this like big scary threat that could potentially disrupt your whole business. So we are looking at that, and we're working on the final stages of it. So I can't formally make any kind of announcement yet, but we are working on some AI related, maybe a partner in an AI platform technology. So, and if this would be the case, would be approved, we would be one of, I believe, only 20 or 30 agencies in the company that can do this. So that's our possibly big and exciting news, but I don't want to jinx it by saying too much too soon.
Will it be called AI Activate?
Yeah, that's good. AI Activate.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can she use that? Does she owe you royalties if she steals?
I don't think that's a very good name. But ChatGPT came up with it while we were talking anyway, so I can't take credit for it. So that's fantastic, Michelle. We're on the edge of our seats.
Multitasking, are we?
No.
I don't want to
Never.
overblow
Never.
it.
Never.
We leveraged up this year, so we're a HubSpot Gold partner now. So we just I get excited about this because it means that for our customers and our clients, we can better help and better serve them more deeply in the ways that they need for their business support, especially into 2024 and beyond. So yeah, it's exciting. I love what I do.
That's cool.
Yes, Michelle is very passionate. When we first met, you are very passionate about marketing, and your company is growing like crazy. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun. So the joy is in the journey. We forget that sometimes. It's not about the destination, it's the journey. So I love the journey.
Steve went away for a minute.
I kept freezing.
Steve, you warm up. No freezing allowed. Okay. What's going on with you, Steve? I know there's a lot on
I'm only going to talk about one thing that's going on with me, and it's me and Kay. I think I briefly touched on it just a little bit ago that we are submitting my 9th, Kay's 2nd book. We co-authored a book called Uncopyable You. And the subtitle is something along the lines of, we've all heard people do business with people they like, know, and trust, but more importantly, they do business with people they remember. And that is the essence of personal branding, which is what the book is all about. So we are submitting that to our publisher this week, which means it'll be out hopefully early 2024. And in the meantime, I'm going to copy everything that Dave is doing to promote our new stuff, because he's already promoting his new stuff. And what is that new stuff,
let's
Mr. Loomis, Mr. Voice?
Yeah. Well, I am working on my second book. I've got a long way to go to get to 9, but it's I'm a competitive person, so I'm gonna try. We'll see what happens. So number 2, and we're doing a deep dive on customer interviewing within the B2B space. And this term, the name of the book is Customer Outsight, not insight, but outsight. Yes,
Little
indeed.
twist.
You mean you mean like go play outside?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
Well, the automatic captions that come up for videos.
Yes.
When I say the word outside, it thinks I mean outside.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
So I'll have to be careful about that. And but yes, outsight, and as in out of sight, like they said way back in the day.
That's right.
So that's fun. And I've gotten all sorts of advice about how to pre-promote and all those sort of things, and to just get it going. Plus, I know myself well enough that if I put it out there, then it's going to put pressure on me to actually finish it. I have I can't, there's no turning back now.
Right. You're committed.
You're committed.
So,
yeah, you're fine.
So this is intentional because it's hard to you all know. I mean, it's hard to have a day job and to write a book at the same time. So it'll take some discipline to, and I'm just a plug for my own personal coach, Christine Hockman, who is Michelle's personal coach. Also,
Yes.
I'm starting today with new sessions with Christine so that she can help keep me on task for all the stuff that's coming. So everybody needs a coach. Even coaches need a coach.
Right. Right.
Yep.
I need a couch.
Well,
couch.
that too.
That's what I need.
Coach to the couch.
Now, is that to relax or to get therapy or both?
Well, when you get to be my age,
the couch is as important
Security
as the
number,
coach.
When your social security card was, chiseled, and your number is a single digit, then
Hey, I'm married to
I
you.
could
So
go. I got more.
Too old.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere soon, Steve.
Yeah.
Book number 10. I mean, is a round number, 2 digits. So I think you got another one in you.
Yeah. Well, everybody sounds like they got some really cool things going on, and very, very excited about your new AI project that we don't know anything about. But
yes, Michelle,
hopefully we will pretty soon. Hopefully
we will.
Interesting.
Soon.
I'll throw something in. Probably the youngest person I've interviewed. Her name's Kinsey Haynes, Iron Tech, and she talked a lot about AI. I think it's interesting because some of us older folks are more afraid and more resistant to it. And I think in some of the younger people, Michelle, you're all into it. And like I said, Kinsey was all about using AI for marketing and sales. So that's good stuff. And of course, Steve, oh my gosh, he was so excited when this really hit the big time. It's been like his little toy, his little sandbox is the AI. Everything I do, he says, well, did you put that in AI? Like, I will right now.
Just yesterday or 2 days ago, I discovered a brand new thing that AI could do for me that I just was blown away with. But that's for another story.
That's for your next podcast.
Well, I'm excited for all your books.
Thank
Fresh
you.
content. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, and just to back up what you were talking about, Dave, about how you tell people what you're doing and then you're pressured to do it, right? How many K was it? Was it 3 or 4 of the books? We pre-sold them before I wrote one word.
We
And I mean,
self-published,
and
yes, but we sold them.
self-published. Yeah, we self-published these things. We sold thousands of these books before I even wrote one word.
Talk
Wow.
about pressure.
Then that's pressure. That's real pressure.
So
That's
yeah,
real pressure. I love
had
it.
to deliver on those things.
I love it.
That's a good way to do it too.
Yeah,
What's the
it
phrase
is.
from Tommy Boy where you can sell what is it, a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves? I mean, you're good at sales when you don't even have a product yet and you've already sold thousands of it. So testament to your sales skills.
You also know you're good at sales when I have to tell this story, Michelle. Her mother stopped her before she really got very far. But when she was a kid, she came up with her own business idea. She sold phone numbers. She went through the phone book and she had a little stand out in the street and people could come by and buy a phone number.
You're out of lemonade. You're out of lemonade. And I hadn't learned about supply and demand yet. So
Wow. Were you selling someone else's phone number?
Yes. So
you could in the phone book. That's when they had phone books. She would look up a phone book, a phone number in the phone book.
I'm old enough to remember the phone book, but I
love it. I love it. That's even better than Kay's sales scam.
What was my scam?
Candy.
Oh yeah, we sold candy, but everybody sells candy.
Yeah, but you got in trouble.
We were so good at it. I tell this story in my book too. So go get my book. My book's fabulous, right, Michelle? And
there you go.
It is.
Hey, I had a lemonade stand and I misspelled lemonade. But
AID.
the thing is, it was lemon and then AID because I mean, don't you think
lemons will aid you?
That made sense to me. Like I don't even understand why it's spelled any differently than that because it's an aid and it's lemon. It aids your thirst.
Yes.
But I learned very quickly. So, usually you set your lemonade stand up in front of your own house because that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't getting a lot of traffic. So then I moved it down to the train stop down the street where all the people got off the
thirsty
train
commuters.
at the end of the day. Yeah, the commuters. Exactly.
Good for you. It's fun to hear all the entrepreneurial stories of our youth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to pirouette to our second question.
Thank you for using that word.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
If I've learned one, pirouette.
You got a call back for us.
That's for a long
pirouette,
ago.
Because Steve hates the word pivot.
Right.
Overused.
In a time far, far away, Steve told me that he doesn't like the word pivot. So I remember things like that.
That is
all right. So
cheers.
We're going to go around again. And we can just go in the same order to make it easy. One thing that you think is going to be really important or impactful in the coming 50 years, Kay? No, in the coming year or however long you want to put the time horizon out. But, it's sort of I think a good thing for us to do as we wind down this podcast, which is, hey, what's most important? What comes to the surface as really what we would say, pay attention to this one thing. What would you say that is for you, Kay?
Well, I am thinking of the word uncopyable. To be uncopyable, which is, has been the theme of our past few books, and it's really resonated with people. And I think it will continue to. It's about who you are. It's about your brand, which, of course, our next book is addressing. I think it's human nature to look at what other people are doing and copy it and say, oh, we'll do it a little bit better. We really need a brand that's memorable, like Steve said, branding story. My branding story happened 30 years ago, gave me the nickname Muffler Mama. And that's, if you look up Kay Miller, Muffler Mama on the internet, you'll find me. So you want to be unique and uncopyable. I also think that story and what it makes you uncopyable in your brand has to connect with people. And as much as I love AI, it's already being abused because it's just being spat out, as is. So AI is a wonderful tool, but I think it's going to be important to find the balance between all the cool stuff that AI does and how you are going to make it, your personal material. You're going to own what you are and who you are and what you offer. So that will be my answer.
That's fantastic. Love it. Michelle, what do you got?
I got a few. I don't want to stick to just one, and I'm not that great at following directions and coloring in the lines sometimes. So I'm going to throw a few out there.
Okay, I'm going to kick her out.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Michelle.
Zoom away.
Okay.
Go for it.
The first one I thought of, especially when you think of 50 years, I mean, we were joking about that, but in all seriousness, to go along kind of with what Kay was saying, authenticity matters so much, and people can tell when you're just spamming and just sending junk out. Like genuine, personalized, human to human contact is just going to be, I know I'm saying this and I work in a very digital space, but human contact, authentic brands, that resonates with your customers and that resonates with your prospects. And the more genuine and authentic you are, the more you will attract the moose that you want to work with. So like attracts like. So I think that's really important. But I was thinking about, we're at the end of 2023 and we're moving into 2024. It's election year, which I'm sure we've all heard about. The world is a turbulent place. And I was thinking about the pandemic, which already feels like ages ago, but that was only 3 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. And agility and adaptability are the other two A words that came to mind. So I have authenticity, agility, and adaptability. So the companies that really thrived, not only just in terms of marketing, but in terms of everything during the pandemic, were the ones that were very agile and very adaptable. And they were able to make quick decisions. They were able to pirouette to different areas of business that they may not have previously considered. They were able to think on the fly. And back to that authenticity piece, the reason they were able to do that is because all of their employees were aligned. They were all working together on one greater mission.
That's another A, by the way.
Aligned. Yeah. I'm going to just go on like A spout.
Oh boy, we are alliteration.
Yes.
Yeah, all the A's.
That's an A.
The A day.
A.
A for the podcast.
Wow, out of sight.
So, yeah, but seriously, I mean, the companies that did really well weren't the ones that were just pigeonholed or the ones that were playing defense all the time. They were offensive. They were the ones that were out there. They were the ones that were saying, no, we're not just going to sit around and wait for what the world throws at us. We're going to be drivers in the world of what we want to do, where we want to go, and who we want to serve. So yeah, what alignment, agility, adaptability, authenticity, we'll just use the letter A. Then I have one answer technically, right?
Stands for all of that.
Yeah. So that's my little
A for all.
A for
A for all. That's my little soapbox.
A for answer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man, I think we just wrote a book for you.
Yeah, you get an A for that.
Yeah.
I think there's a book.
I know there is a book for you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you could do. You really could just write a book just on what you just said.
Just write a book.
Yeah,
I'll just use AI and I'll just write.
Yes, I know. See what AI comes up with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so,
right.
Steve, what do you got?
I have got. I think mine is a little bit simple. It kind of tags along with when you said human to human, Michelle. That's so important. I think that more than even now, the ability to financially take care of yourself by yourself is going to be massively important. Massively. In other words, that you are a company of one, and that you find a way to make a living, earn a living that pays your bills, takes care of your family, everything. But probably more important than anything else, it gives you the freedom to live your life the way you want to live your life, and that there's not a boss who is telling you, or a boss who is dictating a big chunk of your life, that you're doing it by yourself. I think that's going to be, to me, I think that's going to be a very, very critical skill set, I guess you could say, is to be able to do that. And of course, part and parcel to that, I don't even remember where I heard that phrase before, but that just all of a sudden jumped into my head. Part and parcel to that is the fact that bringing in that human to human, one-to-one connection. Okay, instead of trying to blast out messaging to the world, you're going to, we kind of go back. We kind of go back to the one to one. So anyway, I think small is going to be a huge thing.
Less is more.
It's really interesting. We maybe have come full circle, but if you think about pretty much the whole of human existence so far, there's been more working sort of for yourself than there has anything else until the Industrial Revolution. And then, everybody came in from the country to the city, worked at the big factory or what have you. And now we're sort of, it's like the wave going back.
Yeah, because as we all know, COVID, when everybody had to work at home, a lot of people figured out they didn't have to live where they were living, and so they moved to be where they wanted to live.
Yeah,
being able to work out of that, and now that a lot of these big corporations are saying, no, you have to come back to the office now. You have to come in to work now, and these people are pushing back.
Thank you.
Yeah, they are. They are pushing back.
There's remote work, and then there's the gig economy too.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just hustle, and I'll figure it out.
That's why, and that's that's kind of what I'm thinking is that it's primarily going to be gig, and even companies will, I think they're going to stop hiring employees, and they're just going to start hiring gig workers.
I think so. I'll go and say that it's funny because we're all on the same wavelength, and that's probably why we, like each other and like what we say and spend time with each other, because the whole sort of purpose of this outside concept that I've been doing has to do with interviewing a person, a group of people or a person. But what I do mostly is I do one-on-one customer interviews, and they're one human talking to another. I was just recommended, and I downloaded a book called Talking to Humans, which I'm going to read, and I think that is very important. We over the past probably 50 years have seen technology creep in to all sorts of all our communication techniques. So I've just been spending a ton of time going through all sorts of family memorabilia that I inherited, and from both sides of my family, I've got letters that were written in the mid or even early 1800s, and there are these beautiful, unbelievable, script and really interesting letters. Of course, that was because they couldn't talk in person. And that was really the only other way that people communicated.
No, they couldn't post on Instagram or anything.
No Instagram. No. Then there was telegrams, and I've got a few of those in the family memorabilia too. Telegrams that were sent to people, things like that. But yeah, now, when you talk about marketing and sales, we're barraged just hundreds of times a day with noise, unbelievable noise. And I just think that how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we make ourselves uncopyable and memorable? Like you say, Kay, I think it's by being a human being that somebody wants to talk to and interact with. And how do you do that? To me, and this is what I teach, is you actually have to care about the other person. Bottom line, you have to care about them and appreciate and be curious. And you have to go into situations not thinking about yourself, but thinking about, how can I help this other person? How can I do that? And you might not be the solution every single time, right? I mean, what kind of goodwill do you earn by saying to somebody, oh, wow, I hear what you're saying, and I don't think I am the right fit for this, or my product or service isn't the right fit, but I know somebody that is, and you help them and you follow up. You don't win them all. You shouldn't win them all.
I have to throw in that came up on my interview with Michelle and a couple other people too. But Michelle said, yeah, if they are not the right solution, they walk away for various reasons. I mean, it would waste both time on both ends, but there's so much credibility that you can develop when they understand, okay, you really have their best interest at heart. So I think that's a very important part.
Yeah, I just think there's a mindset shift that maybe we can help, facilitate, and it takes off. And we're not the first people to do it. We're copying somebody else who said this, 20 years ago, 50 years ago,
Zig Ziglar.
1,000 years ago, which was, change your perspective, go at it for somebody else in that servant mentality, and you can't help but win. I mean, you will win in the end, but there's two kinds of companies, and one is, I'm going to figure out how to make a ton of money. Oh, this is how I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. And, I'm going to, do what I can to do that. And then there's, hey, I'm going to help others be successful. And by doing that, I'm going to be really successful too. So anyway, I know that's my outlook, and I feel like it's everybody, it's your outlook too. This is what we're talking about.
Right. The best business people and salespeople, I think, have that attitude. Zig Ziglar, if I help enough other people to get what they want, I'll get what I want. That has been a common theme. But yeah, it's true. It seems altruistic or whatever, but it's what works to build your business, to really put the other person, the other business first.
And I think
the best networker I know goes into a meeting. If she sets something up, she knows this person might be able to help her, but she spends most of the time asking the other person, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? And then finally at the end, the person's like, well, we've talked about me all this time, how can I help you? And, they end up helping each other.
Mm-hmm. I was with a client meeting where they brought in their customers, and they said, what's the best thing we can do to partner together? And they said, don't walk in the door and say, what can you do for me today? It's how can I help you? How can we partner together? Because if we partner together, we both win. And people forget, to your point, Dave, goals do drive behaviors. If all you talk about is top line, top line, top line, you're going to make decisions that only focus on the top line. If you talk about top line, bottom line, and you care about your culture and you care about your customers, you're going to make decisions differently, and the behaviors will be different the whole way around. The whole culture looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've even talked with my clients about language. And just saying that to somebody, oh, I'm going to go make a sales call. Well, it that clearly outlines what your goal is, what your objective is it's a sales call. And if the other person on the other end also sees it as, oh, I got a salesperson coming in to see me today, they, as long as they keep using that word, we know, inside what the objective is. So, and I know that there have been companies, they change it to stuff like, account managers or something like that. But, see, even those words are, when you say
relationship manager,
right? Yeah. Helper.
Yeah. So yeah. What would we say? What would we call a sales call if we didn't want to give that impression even to subconsciously to ourselves? So a service call or a help call, or
people call it a discovery call, but you could just.
I think it's the number. I think the first objective is to find out if there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Type of connection. But I think it's also important, though, to be clear, like if you mask it too much, then the other person can come in and they're not really clear on what the point of the call is. And if you're trying to figure out if it's a discovery or a connection, or is this a good fit? Are there ways that our services can help with what you need? I mean, there's also an element of transparency to it.
Well,
too.
I'm not arguing about that. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm absolutely not trying to be cute. I hate cute. Okay. But see, before I go see somebody, if I see, before I talk to somebody, I'm going to say to them, look, I have no idea if I have something that you should buy. I don't even know if I think I have something that you should buy. What I want to do is I want to sit down with you and learn about your business, your company, your objectives, your customers, things like that. And then I will, and then I'll tell you maybe a little bit about my company. And then together we can kind of say, oh, do we have a connection?
And I think the intention,
you need, if you're going to use different language, you need to explain it in advance to where they, so that they know what the purpose is. They get it. Because you go, hey, look, we're all in business. Okay. I would love to have you as a client. But that's only going to work if it works for both of us. Okay. So we have to have that kind of a conversation first. And
also depends too, who is it, an outbound call or an inbound call? Did you call on them to set up the appointment, or did they find you and ask for you to come in? Because I think that determines then also how you go about setting up the call, what's discussed, all that.
Yeah, of course, that's exactly right. And for me, from a marketing perspective, is that to me, sales is outbound, marketing is inbound. And if you do marketing right, you get those inbound connections, and then they're ready, willing, and able to talk to you.
One of the first things that Kay said when she answered this, when we did our round robin, and she said listening, and that is really the key here, is listening to each other, but listening to the other person to see, how would you know if there's a connection if you're just doing all the talking? I introduced a friend of mine that sells market research to a client once, and it was somebody that I knew. It was a layup. This person was a perfect fit for this job, and we got on the line. It made all the introductions, and he shared his screen and put a PowerPoint deck up.
PowerPoint.
And he talked for 35 minutes nonstop. Without anyone saying anything. And it was just like, here's what I do, in bragging about all the projects and all this kind of thing. And at the end, he said, well, does anybody have any questions? And it was just like silence. People were just completely beaten down to death by talking.
Words. When was this? How long ago was it?
It was only a couple of years ago. And I just...
Yeah,
it was
interesting.
I felt terrible. I felt embarrassed because I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was embarrassing for
sorry,
you.
I introduced this person who doesn't listen. Yikes. I mean, I do PowerPoints. I mean, and I like them for various reasons in certain cases, but yikes.
Yeah. Of course, PowerPoints can make things funny and fun and interesting. It's like when you use too many words, that's the death by PowerPoint. One of our clients, after he started working with us, he took a whole bunch of his slides out. Remember that? Mm-hmm. All about the company and their history and all the things that they do, took them all out. And I think especially now, like we're talking about, we're being bombarded with marketing and advertising. We have our connections on social media, the mental health crisis in this, that's going on right now. People want to be able to talk, and they want to be understood. And someone pointed out that when you are on a sales call, or whatever we're going to call it, that might be the one person, when the one time the person you're interacting with is truly being listened to and heard.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a chance to make a difference.
Wow. I think that's a great quote.
That's it. That's perfect. That's so perfect. I love it. I love it. Okay. So Steve and I are going to set up, keep an eye out, folks, for the last episode. We're not sure exactly when that is or how many more there are to go, but we're winding it down. But this was a great start to the wind down. We'll have to have something that involves actual cocktails or wine and then it can be a wind down.
Oh, I like that. Clever. Well, I'm honored. I'm sure Michelle is too, to be one of your last set of guests.
And I'm sorry, Michelle, you had to be outside because there's just too much noise inside.
She's not outside. That's her very cool wall.
Yeah, some people are hip. The young folks,
we wouldn't understand that.
Have style.
Yeah. She doesn't have paint on her walls. If you can't see, it's a very
you mean like the super fancy closet?
Oh
store? Yeah, really.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. There's lots of orange in the background. For those of you not watching and just listening, we're clad in orange. Okay, folks, should I take us out?
Yes, sir. It's your job.
All right. Everyone, you have been listening to the B2B Marketing and Sales podcast with Dave Loomis and Steve Miller, not the rock star, Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger, all those things, maybe not in that order, and Kay Miller, his smoking hot wife, and Michelle Jones, our rock star guest. And the four of us are the Fab Four, folks.
She's amazing.
The Fab Four. Yes.
Hey.
So thank you for listening, and tune in again for a limited time only.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing, keep on selling.